Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome, guys. In this video, we're going to be talking about Imam al-Ghazali's third way and the basis of the Ashari Aqidah. Okay, and I'll tell you, I call it the theology of possibility, of absolute possibility. Now, what does this mean? First, let's talk about Imam al-Ghazali's third way. In Imam al-Ghazali's work, he wrote some things about going beyond reason. See, if you read Imam al-Ghazali's work, he was of the opinion that, okay, yes, we know what perception is and we know what reason is. So we know the rules of logic and we know how it functions and everything. But he postulated something that could be beyond reason. Something beyond reason. He postulated that. And many people criticize him for that. But I feel like he's also tied in with his Asharism. Because Asharism is a theology of possibility, of contingency, of possible worlds. And I'll tell you what it means now. So the best way I like to describe it is, imagine, the multiverse theory, that that there could be another universe with completely different fundamental principle than our own. And we have a problem conceiving such a world that has a different fundamental principle, and yet it exists. So to me, that is the essence of Ashari Aqidah, is to think of possibilities, that possibilities are open. God could have made the world in any way he wanted. The possibility you cannot, fix it, is open. So what it means is that God could have created the world in any way he wanted it to be, and things will function in the way God wants it to be. But make no mistake, because you are thinking from the fundamental principles of this world, from the things that you have observed, like physical things, material things, any which way of your human understanding, all what you have experienced. Okay, if you go to a baby and you ask him Aqidah question or scientific question, does the baby know? It doesn't. How does the baby then know later? The baby learns through experience, gathering information. As it's growing old, is perceiving, is experiencing the world. We experience things by touch, by sight, by hearing, and all these things. That's how we gather information. We can also abstract to the level of reason. But the point is that, where are we getting all this our information from? We're getting it from the world around us. And if we now postulate a world that has the reality of a particular world, that doesn't have the things that we have experienced in this world, we have problem in conceiving it. And if you're a materialist, this is why you cannot conceive of a God that is not material. You cannot do it, because to you everything has to be physical, has to have. And I understand your pain when you hear the Asharis or other theologians telling you that God doesn't have a spatial dimension. If you're a materialist or someone that is only fixated on the things that he has experienced, you will not be able to do it. It's true. You will not. Because all you know are temporal things. All you know are spatial things. To now think of something that is not spatial and not temporal, you cannot do it because of your experience so far. Here is where the Asharis now come. The Asharis now say that it is possible. That's all. They don't necessarily know it too. They will try to describe it, but usually it will be in the form of negating something. But the point is that they are saying it is possible. They are not saying it is the reality right now. From what we know, they are saying it is possible. Because the moment you say it is not possible, you are limiting everything to the world that we have observed. You are limiting everything to material things, spatial, temporal things. But if you open it up, then there are possibilities. Now, before I end this video, I will now add this last part about morality. So you will see that when it comes to the issue of morality too, they kind of give a similar response, that it is possible to the moral objections that they get. They'll be like, oh yeah, it is possible God creates a world. Any objection you give them, they'll be like, it is possible. God could have created things differently. But many people don't understand what they are saying. That's why they always misconstrue their replies. See, this is what the Asharis are actually saying. In the world right now, we know what is good and what is bad. And God does not command evil. Okay, like, okay, let's say God can command you, like Ibrahim alayhi salam. God commanded him to slaughter his son. Yes, but if God commanded that, it doesn't make it good. Don't make that mistake. God commanding something, it doesn't mean it is good. We already know God wills both the good and the evil. That one is done. Some people have a problem with that. We don't. And most Muslims don't. God can will both. Now, God can also command you to do something wrong. And obedience is the right thing to do at that point. And Kierkegaard pointed this out. But the point is that it doesn't make it good. Even when you're doing it, it is still wrong. It's just the obedience that you have to do. If you want me to make another video about this, I can go into more details. So when Musa alayhi salam in the story in Surah Al-Kahf, right? At every junction, he was opposing the Khidr, yeah? He was opposing him like, what you did is wrong. It doesn't become good just because God commanded it. It doesn't become good. But obedience will be right in that situation. Don't make that mistake. We know what is good and what is bad. And God has created our mind in that way to know what is good and what is bad. Now, what if God creates another possibility, another world where things are flipped, where the good is the bad and the bad is the good? Now, there's a lot of problem with answering that it is possible in this case. I don't think you should say it is possible. It is possible that God creates a world where the morality in that world is completely different from this one. That's the right answer. Don't say that God will make the good bad and the bad evil, because you're already moving the morality that is already here. You're already moving into that possible world without you knowing. You're doing that. So God cannot make bad evil and evil bad in a possible world, because that would be this world just in a way. But you can also, I feel like you can say it is possible, but to me, I think you've already moved into the possible world already. Because if good is bad, it will never appear to the people that good is bad. I think maybe that's what they're saying. So if you say the good in that world is the bad, the people there, they will know it as bad. They will not know it as good. Do you get? So whatever it is good in that world, it is good. Whatever it is bad, it is bad. But it will be different from our own. Now, this is the part. It doesn't have to be contradictory. That world and this world, because they are not under the same fundamental principle, they cannot be contradictory. They don't need to be contradictory such that it will bring problems. And also, Imam al-Ghazali's third way that is beyond logic, it doesn't have to contradict logic. It doesn't have to. It can be something we don't know, but we affirm its possibility. We affirm its existence without knowing how. And yet it is possible, and yet we say it exists without contradicting what we know. So I think this is a very important underlying principle that is behind most of the things that we discuss. Some people, they are materialists, or I would say empiricists. So they are empiricists to the level of only based on experience, we are going to judge what is possible. Only based on what we know, we are going to judge what is possible. And some say our experience is contingent. Therefore, it cannot be applied to all possible worlds. It can only be applied to this world. So, other possible worlds exist that we don't know, and yet it's not contradictory to our own. And if you understand this, I think you'll be able to appreciate what the Ashari is actually saying. So, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.